me now to introduce you all to our very another eminent and expert speaker for the day, Dr. Sindhu Bhaskar. Before I introduce Sir, I want to be sure that Sir is able to see me and hear me properly. Am I audible and visible, Sir?
Yes,
Uh, okay.
yes,
All
I
right,
can
sir.
hear you,
Thank
see you
you.
also.
All right. Thank you, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Sindhu Bhaskar is the chairman and CEO of EST Global Incorporation, which is an enterprise based in Boston, Cambridge, MIT ecosystem, incorporated and operating from Cambridge Innovation Center. Dr. Sindhu has worked his career to global leadership in transforming the financial ecosystem through digital evolution, fintech revolution, and financial incursions. Sir is now leading an initiative to impact a majority of world's population in the rural and farming sector. He has 3 decades of niche experience with a firm believer of innovation-driven entrepreneurship. Sir is a thought leader in banking and financial services sector. Dr. Sindhu has brought together over 40 partners in his conglomerate of ventures and a market presence in 17 countries across the globe. Sir is an alumnus of Oxford Side Business School and MIT Sloan School of Management with special reference to blockchain and fintech education. Dr. Sindhu is also visiting faculty at global institutions and a much sought after speaker of eminence who is recognized as a thought leader in financial economics. Sir is leading a global initiative to enable a program that is unified, secure, and a sovereign banking solution that is seamless and enables financial freedom. So definitely, Sir's vision is very unique of its kind and has got a very enriched background in this domain. So with this, Sir, we are very thankful to you for accepting our invitation and joining us for this virtual summit. So I would now request you to share your thoughts for the given focal theme in hand with all of us. Over to
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Respected chairperson, directors, members of the faculty, and all learned students. It's a great pleasure to be here with you all and address you remotely. Though it is my first, I should say, brush with you all, but I do hope everything should go well, much to your expectation. And I will express my thanks and gratitude to Ms. Mansi Singh, who brought me to interact with you all. So thank you all of you very much once again. As my introduction has already been given, so I need not go in there. But I can say I'm out and out a banker, a finance person. So I got hooked to fintech at a very later stage when I saw various type of conferences talking out different theories of economics and finance vis-a-vis your fintech revolution. So right today, my topic is fintech for you. So let me first go ahead with fintech, though it is a very generic term and very common term nowadays. But fintech basically means that you are connected to any topic which has two angles, finance plus technology. So anything connected to finance and technology becomes fintech. Now, since you have got finance there, so that means finance is involved everywhere in all walks of life. That is why we call money is embedded everywhere. That's why every technology, every aspect of your life has become guided by fintech technology. So we have prop tech, we have reg tech, we have health tech, all sorts of tech has emanated. Now, if you see the whole growth of technology that we have seen through the evolution and growth of human beings and mankind, we will see that technology was already present there. When human beings started looking for food and all, they started developing different instruments to hunt. So that was, I should say, that was the beginning of technology. Even when they started rubbing stones to create fire, that was also a part of technology. So technology was very much in nature, and we had to find it. And we started finding because we wanted to make our life comfortable and easy. So that's how I consider that technology took its root. When you talk of different sort of advanced technology, then you talk of industrial revolution, which happened in Europe. That gave a definite pegging point for growth of modern technology. So that is why we call it industrial revolution, technological revolution, and that was a period of renaissance in all over Europe. But India was a slave country, so we had missed out on that industrial revolution. We were simply the supply point. So we were not able to execute those things, but we were supplying all the, I should say, the ingredients to create that revolution, to run that revolution, and to make it stable there for their success. So that's why India had missed out on the industrial revolution. It was good for us because when technological revolution came, digital revolution came, we could be the leaders there because we were not prisoners of a particular technology. That's why you see India, Kenya, all these countries, they are very, very technologically superior in fintech as compared to your legacy institutions of Europe and America. Now, when we talk of Indian technology, it is basically centered to payment systems, payment gateways, because that is where the entire focus had been. But if you trace how it started, then it is basically the banking which catered to the fintech evolution in India. So even when you started computerization, when you had your ATM, all these were the technological growth in India. When we see that who are the proponents of fintech in India, we find that it is basically the banks. And RBI, Reserve Bank of India, is the supreme body. So they have created multi-layers of banking institutions, like you have nationalized banks, private banks, cooperative banks, rural banks, NBFCs. These are basically the players of fintech in India. However, if you go by the conservative definition of fintech, then fintech is generally carried on by startups, small companies, new companies, because they create a revolutionary feature in the growth of the technology. They are not biased by the legacy of the technology, old technology. So they try to bring new technology and start in front of the old technology, becoming the major competitor for it. So that's why we call this new technology, fintech, as a challenging technology. It becomes, and since it started with banking, so we talk of challenger bank, digital banks, neo banks. And what are these? These are uh, like if you compare and contrast the traditional banking system and the neo banking system or the digital banking system, then earlier we had banks which were brick and mortar institutions. Now they are all digital. They are in air. You don't have any physical office for them. Earlier, the banks, even now we have the our normal banks which are operating. Every transaction takes so much of time, even taking 3 days, 2 days. In neo banks and digital banks, that speed of transaction is so enhanced that it is very, very fast. And the third thing is, which is differentiating between the traditional banking system with the neo banks or the digital banks, or as you call challenger banks, they are that in the digital banks and challenger banks, the cost of the services is very low. So, like in normal banking, when you are transferring funds, supposing they are charging you 50 rupees. So, in neo banks and challenger banks, that cost will be 15 rupees. So, there are three layers on which there is a differentiation. That is the speed, the cost of the transaction, and the form of the institution. This is how we describe the fintech evolution and the revolution. With fintech revolution, uh, everyone has become a banker, everyone has become a technical guy, as rightly suggested by one of our speakers earlier, that all this knowledge you can learn, you can earn it. You need not go to any institution to learn it. However, the basic economic principles remain the same. Even if in fintech you are talking of, say, Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies, you are buying and selling them. So the principles of buying and selling will always be there. So the basic economic principles will remain the same. However, the contour, the form and shape of the institutions will change. And that is how fintech has created a massive disruption in the financial world as well as in all other sectors of life, because fintech is embedded. Finance, money is very important part of life. It affects all our activities. That is why we say fintech is embedded in all our activities. Now, if we see the form and substance of technology in India, how it has developed and how it is growing, we can go to the next slide, ma'am. India had, as I told you earlier, India had missed on the industrial revolution. So straightway we shifted to the digital revolution, and that's why we see we have a very strong base of technology and startups. We are the leaders, market leaders like China, India. They are the centers of all the expertise of digital technology, and that's why we have huge benefit. We have covered all the POW, like proof of work, proof of concept. All those have created a very successful stint for us in our fintech evolution. We have covered like P2P, which is sort of peer-to-peer crowdfunding, B2B, business to business, peer to business, business to consumer, business to consumer, which is like multi-level sales. All these are, we are seeing that these are all happening in Indian economy. And that is the basic success factor in the growth of technology. Even when you see there is lockdown, we are facing this COVID situation, but our technology is roaring. Lot of funds are coming from outside to fund our startups. That goes to prove that what is the strength of our technology and of course, our resources in India, human resources, that is creating such a fantastic situation. Now, when we talk of fintech and all, it is not only that we are talking of isolated events, like they are just startups independently they are creating. Now there is a focus on coming together, like collaborating with each other, because as I will use the same term because fintech is embedded in every part of life. So what happens, your one operation is affecting so many operations. That is why we talk of P2P, P2B, B2C, B2B to C. So different layers of society are getting affected by one operation. That is why you have to come together, and then all your activities will be successful. So supposing if you are doing say automation of farming industry and trying to create a technological revolution there. Now, what will happen? You are onboarding the farmers. You are also connecting them to all the agricultural input suppliers. You are also connecting them to the bankers so that they can have timely funds. Even they have a wallet which is directly connected to government, which by which government releases all the funds, subsidies, and grants to them directly. So all these situations are created by way of fintech. So if you try to be separate and segregate yourself, then you cannot scale yourself. So that's why there are different levels of technology. When we come to growth come business cycle, how fintech and how the evolution of fintech and ideas, new ideas come, we go to the slide growth come business cycle. You come up with an idea. That idea is the main thing because that is going to carry your enterprise. When you have got an idea, of course, you can see every startup has couple of people, 3 4 people. They have been working together. So that is called peer collaboration. So 2 or 3 friends come together, they further develop on that idea. When they develop some, it starts getting some concrete shape. Then what happens? Some institutional support comes in. Like you see, there are so many VCs and all venture capitalists who try to put in some money there. When that happens, you get money, you get funds to move with your project. Then you start working on the proof of concept, that yes, this is the proof of concept, we have got the funding. Now the sandbox stage starts, wherein you start working with the project and fully developing it. Then you go to the test net and test all the verticals are working properly. Finally, you start the beta testing with all the different, like you uh, to a closed group of people. It can be your friends and co-workers, wherein you release that system and everyone starts working, testing it, like using it, so that it gets automatically tested. Once it is finalized, then the product is finally launched to the general public. But what is the basic aim? That after a couple of years, the entrepreneur will like to exit the business, or they will like to merge it with some big business, or they will like to be bought over so that they have made their money. So that is how the whole ideology, the mentality of startups go with in fintech. They talk of exit route. When we see the trends in Indian fintech, what do we see? That the main focus area are couple of them you can even mark it, that there are changes in the banking system, there are changes in the lending system. That is why there are so many microcredit institutions now which are giving loans. Then there are delivery mechanism, how fast delivery can be made to customers. But the most expansive development is in the banking system, which is related to the payments. So, in subsequent slide, I have discussed how those payments, what sort of payments are happening in banking. We can come later on, but for the moment, we have payments. Then in payments, we are also creating points of sale, which is called POS. So, in which we are using different big companies also, which act as point of sales. Why we are doing it? Because a normal bank, if they open a branch in any remote area or other area, the establishment cost is higher. So, to get rid of that establishment cost, we have now created different point of sales. So that is where the concept of banking in a box or box banking comes in, wherein a big corporate house can act as a banking, wherein you can deposit your cash, you can take money, because people are selling products, commodities in cash. So they have to deposit that cash to the bank. So what they will do, they are connected to the bank. So bank, as per the application by which they are connected to the bank, Mr. A has to receive 50 rupees. So what they will do, they will do 50 rupees, and that will be reflected as a deposit in their account in the bank. So that is how we have brought in different individuals to interact with each other, at the same time completing a financial transaction. Then we have a new genre of banks like challenger banks and neo banks. We always have to remember neo banks are not huge banks. They are totally digital bank. They have no physical entity, no brick and mortar, and we just operate by app on our phone. So it is in real sense mobile banking. Then we have P2P lending. That is another area wherein fintech has advanced a lot. So that is, you have seen the SME funding. SME is small and medium enterprise. Then this what do you call it? Microcredit finance. Then we are also funding receivables when two businesses are working, and they are selling their goods to a third party, and they have to receive the payment, which is maybe it comes in 30 days or 20 days. So that 20 days gap is also funded by the institution, so that you don't have a working capital shortage. So that is called receivable funding. So that receivable funding has also come into operation. Different startups are connected to banks by way of agency agreement, and they take care of all these activities which are happening in the economic world. Not only financial, we let us call it economic world. Due to all these transactions, you have seen now there is the concept of aggregation of activity. So we call them aggregators. So you have like for insurance, there is one aggregator company. It takes care of all the different insurance companies are listed with them. Whatever sort of insurance you want to take, you can visit their website and take the help of any insurance company for your life or your business. Then you have financial inclusion concept, in which what happens, that microcredit gives is in a very prominent manner utilized by banks through their rural entities, rural banks, rural branches. Then we have cooperative banks. Then we have microcredit organizations. Those are again startups which are taking lending to tier 3 and 4 layers of the society. You can see there are now nomenclatures developed by stock exchange and even government, that we should give more opportunity to those tiers in society as well, because that will be in enlarging your domestic base. We cannot export everything, and only export cannot create money for you. Even if you enlarge your domestic base, that is called inward looking economy, even then you can have a very huge economy, because export based economy has so many other considerations: your bilateral relationship, how you are faring, what is the uh, quality of your product, whether it is able to withstand the onslaughts in the competitive world outside or not. All those things are there. Then the third aspect of fintech that we see in India is related to biometrics, robo advisory, chatbots, AI, IoT based security services. these are also utilized in other aspects of activity, like in bank. We are using robo as chatbot, with then as advisors. In investment banking, you are using robo advisors. So what happens that we see interoperability of all these fintech services, that it is not that only banking aspect of the fintech is going to be used. Even in the banking aspect, you are using the services of artificial intelligence, IoT based, like robotics, bot, chatbot, all those things are getting used. So we are looking an atmosphere wherein we are having interoperability of different technology and coming together of different enterprises and creation of an ecosystem. Because once we have that ecosystem, then we can have stabilized growth and stabilized scaling, which is very important for any startup. When we see the changes and agents of change in our fintech, we see innovators are there, collaborators are there. E-commerce is very important for scaling, so that you can have horizontal and vertical expansion. uh, when collaborators are there, you have ecosystem inclusion, all these talks are there. With innovator, you have innovator accelerator, which creates the growth agenda and provides you the minimum viable product. So that's how we created the agents and phases of change. And now when we see again the phases of Indian fintech, I told you earlier that it was basically the payment and settlement system which has got the maximum emphasis. So in banks, we have seen automated clearinghouse (ACH) system, wherein now the settlement has become paperless. You don't have to carry checks to the bank from one bank to another, all sitting in Reserve Bank, exchanging the check and debiting it and all that. Now everything is online. Second improvement is immediate payment services, which is called IMPS. So now when you transfer fund, you see next day or same day, people are getting the funds, not 2 or 3 days like earlier. NEFT, National Electronic Funds Transfer, every day, like it is 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock as per Reserve Bank of India guidelines. All the settlements for payment can be done between banks, because all banks are maintaining balance with the Reserve Bank, so their balances can be debited for settlement with each other. Then we have real-time gross settlement. In that, it is real time. In NEFT, what you have that, okay, when you get 50 checks, then you start doing the settlement. But in RTGS, it is real time. So once you make the application for RTGS, bank debits it immediately, the other party receives it. But NEFT takes a couple of hours. Then you have unified payment services like Bhim payment, Paytm. All these are again real-time payment system. And what you see, how you see it there, when you are trying to make any payment, you have bill desk and all. So these are all system of unified payment interface. When you are creating new enterprise, new fintech enterprise, I mean to say, uh, your startup is connected to, say, a bank by way of APIs. So those API integration is very important, because that is what gives the connectivity. That is called application program interface. So we have lot of, then we have in lending, we discussed, we have lending card, we have Neo, which are doing lending as well as insurance. We have supply chain management system. We have customer relation management. We have a higher tech wherein we are using artificial intelligence, machine learning and all. So this is how our Indian fintech has basically developed, and it is developing. And when we see the report card of our fintech development, we see that we have created a huge pool of innovative mindset. We are always tech ready for any sort of uh, product, and we can come out and present it to the world. That is the reason why you see so many, even Chinese money has come to India. So many people are investing in our startups because they are really unique, and then from there it goes to outside world, and that is what is called scaling. So we have financial institutions are supporting us. Even now, Reserve Bank has started coming out with some digital regulations. Corporate houses are definitely supporting us because they are also acting as a point of sale for us. Government is quite proactive because I should say the main effort of government was sorry, the main effort of government was by opening this Jan Dhan Yojana and demonetization and all those bank accounts. That was creating the channel for digital flow of money directly without any intermediary, so that the beneficiary should receive the full amount. Otherwise, what was happening earlier, that due to intermediaries, they were not getting the full benefits. But still, there are a lot of shortfalls, and we still have to have definite infrastructure with safety and security. We are still not very, very trusting towards innovations and technology. We are short of reliable customer data, and big banks are very slow in accepting the technical reality. You can see either they will try to do it themselves. If not, then only they will try to join hands with other people. But trend is changing because government is also putting in all effort to create that development. But the major say lacking is our virtual currencies. We don't have crypto exchanges. We are still talking of digital assets, but we have not gone into it. We are not talking of security tokens. We don't have any regulations for all these higher fintech operations. So decentralized digital identities, because those are very, very important. When we talk of open banks and all, we are using all those decentralized open identities, wherein one institution is having the KYC done for any individual. The same can be shared, and everything is on blockchain. So all the records are shared but cannot be altered by anyone until unless all agree to that. Since you all have gone through this data and blockchain, I will not like to go there. You must have heard about Libra. Now it is called Dime. So that is again a digital currency, but still those type of things and those type of discussions we are not having in India right now. Every country is talking of central bank digital currency, which is called CBDC. Uh, and incidentally, I am also working in one of the like Federal Reserve Bank of Boston in the committee, wherein we are preparing the policy paper for central bank digital currency. So all those things are there, but we are still taking a lot of time, and we are moving slow. Maybe due to inertia, I will not say. I will say internal dynamics of our society, because our society has a strange concept. If you see the sociological interpretation of our society, if you do, we are very modern in our thoughts and all, but we have a traditional layer. So what we do, we traditionalize all our modernity. So in spite of all those developments, we create roadblocks for ourselves, and then we get stopped in the on the way. So that is our basic problem. You can see China and all, they are going very fast, but of course their society is different. It is not fully democratic. So they can manage to force people to adopt and accept certain things, which we cannot do because we are uh, fully democratic. And you can see how farmers are fighting and government is sticking to its stand. So these are the basic contradictions of our society. You cannot uh, cross the, I should say, the Lakshman Rekha of our technology. But my basic point is that we all talk of only technology as subject and as a theory. We need to be more focused about the application part of our technology. So, as a banker, what I have done, I have created a composite banking system wherein the bank is the focus of development, and we are going to all the three and four and five tiers of the society. And if you see the last slide, ma'am, can you go to the last slide? Yeah, this is our, no, second last, sorry. Yes, futuristic paradigm. So this is our development paradigm which we have created and which we are implementing. So BranchX is the new neobank which we are launching in India, and that is basically the development center, and we are taking it to uh, tier 3, 4, 5 cities and villages, and you have microcredit facilities, you have investment facilities, you have banking facilities, you have direct money transfers, everything in that. And we are creating a composite system. Composite system means it is touching all the aspects of your life. So we are taking care of the farming with our farmers blockchain. We are taking care of SMEs with our SME funding mechanism. We are also trying to create a permanent structure for capital creation, because you can have any sort number of grants, donations, funding from different institutions, government, but if you get cash and you consume it, then it is finished for forever. So you have to have a machinery wherein you can create the capital. You should be able to rotate that capital to generate further capital. Then only you can have a durable economy which is backed by capital. So we are also talking of a rural exchange. We have given the whole concept and sought the permission from Stock Exchange of India. That's why I took over equity in a couple of stock exchange operators in India, which is called Advisory Mandi. We have launched Invest 19 in India. Same model, BranchX model, EST BranchX, we are taking to other countries also. We have tied up with EcoBank in Africa, and entire Africa and South Africa. We are moving with them. They are our banking partners there, and we are launching the full digital banking platform for them. We are also working in Philippines, wherein we are launching the farmers blockchain, and then we are connecting it to the cooperative banks there, so that everything becomes inclusive and interoperable, and farmers can have lending facility and loans and agricultural inputs, everything uh, through the bank itself. As a matter of fact, in the app that we have developed, it also takes care of plant health and everything. So, and then it will give out all the different steps that you need to take to protect your plants and all. And with the help of IoT devices, we are doing all the field survey and checking the area of holding of people. So a lot of things are happening, and by grace of God, I am only focused to the application part of all these theories. I'm not talking of any. We are creating rather big data, and we are using that big data for analytics part of it, because that is the most important thing. We can, when we talk of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and all that, you tell me how much of Bitcoin is available in the village, how much of Bitcoin is able to create a proper agriculture system in by their value. No, it is for profitability. I'm not denouncing Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency, but what is happening earlier, you see, in 2008, why did the economy crash? Because banks misused it by creating instruments which did not have any value. And then there was escalation, like zero was traded with 1000 value, and that led to the crash of the economy. And from there your fintech and everything started as a repulsion and reaction to the bankers. But we are moving in the same direction. What we are doing, we are now propping up Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Now what is the backup behind that? You don't have any backup. Yes, you have emotional value, peer to peer value, people are backing it, but that does not give the real value, because if it crashes, where are you going to have your support system? At least when banks crashed, government tried to capitalize the banks, but government is not going to capitalize your Bitcoin to give you the value if it crashes. So all these things, lot of it is in a fluid state. Overall, a lot of issues have to be sorted out, and we have to be very, very awakened to all those issues and try to uh, work it out like that. But again, my suggestion to all of you students will be that yes, these theories are nothing like rocket science. These are very easy. Just use your common sense and you can learn everything. I am a banker, I'm not a technocrat, but I could master everything only by applying my common sense. So use your common sense. Bitcoin, okay. Bitcoin trading, it is the same trading like any other asset. You always talk of same supply, demand. So principles of supply and demand will always take care of your Bitcoin trading or Ethereum trading or any, for that matter, any cryptocurrency. Whatever crypto exchange is there, it is like your normal stock exchange. Only the values and say outlook to those things can change, but basic economic principles remain the same. And there is nothing that you cannot learn. So field is wide open. Everything is there for you. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, sir, for very interesting and enlightening inputs on the given subject. And as rightly understood, that fintech is not an enabler, but it is truly a driving engine as well. And students, you can definitely learn these technologies, as mentioned by sir, that most important is the application part of it, and which you can easily learn irrespective of your background with applying your common sense to it. And yes, I truly also believe in it. There is nothing which is as technical and not to be understood by a common person.
Yeah,
Technology is to enable the
yeah,
solutions for the customers, not to make it too difficult for us to understand. So, sir, with this and with your permission, there are some wonderful questions in the chat box which have popped up,
sure.
so we can take it up. So there is one similar question from both Ankit and Ronak. They want to understand, and being understanding that India is having a lot of rural population and a lot of people who still do not have technology available with them and internet available with them. Is it still possible to connect them to fintech, even though they are a bit rigid and still dependent on traditional banking methods?
Yeah, that is exactly what is happening when I talked of the contradictory layers of Indian society. So we are at two ends. One is very much enabled, educated, and tech savvy. Other is not at all tech savvy. So you have to teach them. Now, how you have to teach them? The way which we saw was you cannot ask them to work every time on mobile, so you have to give them support. By grace of God, I should say, there was a government notification wherein there are village volunteers who are assisting people to learn these technologies. Then you have KVC, Kisan Vikas centers. Then you have so many other agencies which are working in rural areas. They are basically trying to impart all these technical, say, expertise to those people. But my focus was to create such apps which are voice enabled, in place of putting in your data or your code and password and all that. So they go, it is basically facial scan, iris scan, and voice enabled function. So you say, okay, I need to deposit 10 rupees. So they will say, okay, in which account you want to deposit. So like that interactive AI mechanism with the scan and biometrics, using as this additional check, two-factor authentication. So
All
that is
right.
how you can do
True,
it.
sir.
And
And
in
right.
due time course and due time they will learn it.
Definitely, sir. And technology will have the solution to everything. Just we need to utilize it in a right manner. And voice recognition is definitely an upcoming area. And we see various organizations like Google also working very on it. Now, before I read the second question, I'll request the students to put on their cameras so that we could connect with the students whosoever is asking the question.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really
sure.
creates a connection with the speaker and with the person who is asking the question. So, if I can request all the students to please put their cameras on. All right. Thank you. So, with this, there is another question from Shefali Seni, and she wants to understand that what are the scope of finance in future other than banking institutions, and also what are the finance related jobs in government sector.
Well, as I said, finance is embedded everywhere. So if you go by pure finance, then it is banking sector. Else you can go in for research, wherein you can create some theories of finance, new principles of finance. That is another sector where you can go. Uh, and government will definitely include you, because in Niti Aayog and all, there are so many positions for research fellows. So you can do that job and look for those openings. But pure finance will be in banks, and of course industrial houses are there. In everything you have something of banking and finance involved. So you can look for your role, like a revenue officer, finance officer. So all those positions are there in every company, so you can take assistance of that.
True, sir. Finance is an integral part of every organization, so we cannot ignore that. And you will find finance everywhere in all the domains of life. So there is another question from Sharang Singh, and he wants to understand that as fintech has created a pool of opportunities, but at the same time there are various loopholes coming out in financial environment. As financial world is one click away. So what steps government is taking to make more stringent regulations to ensure a safe and progressive financial environment?
Okay, see, the basic pillar of fintech is decentralization, freedom from all regulations. That is the basic principle on which whole fintech is operating. That is why you talk of DeFi, decentralized finance, decentralized applications. Blockchain is also your decentralized. When you talk of, oh, whether it is centralized, decentralized, permissioned, non-permissioned. So all those things are there, inherent contradictions of the technology again. And everything, because see, our economy is guided by politics. We have political economy. So you cannot afford to have a pure economy which is guiding your country. It will always be guided by the ruler of the land. What is his temperament? What is his motive? I mean, the party, whosoever is governing the country, it will go by that. Even overseas, if you see, why anyone will go for decentralization when there is dollar diplomacy, when China is trying to have yuan diplomacy, superiority of yuan, they are trying to spread everything, they are trying to fight with dollar domination. You have euro there, but it is not able to match the onslaught of dollar as well as yuan. So all those things are there, contradictions are there. So, but you have to create the balance. In India, what we are seeing, we are focused towards fintech, but we are not focused towards all the regulatory aspects of it. We are still moving very slow. The only regulations that are coming out, I told you, it was about the payment mechanism and some like lending norms that were being discussed. Right now, what happened a couple of days back, Reserve Bank of India started looking into all the microcredit organizations. What happened? All the loans that they were giving, they started becoming bad. Now, the problem is they are isolated. They are only working on the loan. And that is why every time I say, until unless you have a composite mechanism, until unless you have interoperability with all other activities, you cannot secure your lending. If you cannot secure your lending, it will always go bad. So these are the basic problems. We have a lot of contradictions, and government is yet to come out with all those regulations. We are lagging behind in all that. So that's why I had given you that chart. What is required and what is the report card of our
And what
fintech.
is right? True, sir. So I hope that report card answers many of the questions that I can see in the chat box. But I would surely take up one last question from Aman Singhal, and he wants to understand that is it mandatory to access bank accounts or banking services through technology for the fintech by both the parties, that is the financial inclusion and direct subsidy transfer directly to a bank account by government?
See, you are talking of different aspects altogether. One is your banking, wherein you
Right.
deposit money, take out money. Other is your cash transfer, subsidy transfers. Now, let us discuss both separately. When you are doing all the banking operations, if you don't want to have any system or any procedure, just want to have like decentralized banking system, then you cannot trace the origin of funds. You cannot even trace the end use of funds. Then what will happen? All sorts of illegal money can circulate in the market. So that's why it has to be checked, and there has to be some centralized portion in it. It cannot be fully decentralized. That's why all your application has to have mandatory KYC, know your customer, and proper identities. The second aspect is your transfer of subsidies and grants, what I told you earlier. What happened earlier that we were putting it to the bank accounts. It was going from one bank to another bank. There were people who had to go to the bank, take out. So even bank managers were taking money from it. There were intermediaries who were taking money from it. So out of say 10 rupees, the farmer or say the rural person, the actual beneficiary used to get hardly 5 rupees or even 4 rupees. Who knew? Because I know of so many cases, they did not get the full amount. Now, of course, states are fighting with center that it is basically state subject. Why center is interfering in it? But that is again internal dynamics of our country. But when you are doing transferring money directly from central government to the beneficiary, it is wallet to wallet transfer. So there is no intermediary. At least the beneficiary is getting 100%. So that is the benefit of this technology. So normal banking operation has to have KYC and all. Here also you have to have KYC to know the actual beneficiary, but wallet to wallet transfer is always better because intermediary's role is finished.
True, sir. So, sir, I hope with this you have taken up all the questions very patiently and answered them to meet up their expectations.
Well,
And
thank you very much.
as I have read that, sir, every company is becoming technical and technology enabled these days. But definitely every company needs to be financial services company too, with the way the lot of scope which is available, and there is a lot more still to be achieved by us as a country. So I hope students, it was a wonderful session for all of us with a lot of learning into it. And I'm sure we have got a great food for thought to later venture on. And at this note, I would like to thank Dr. Sindhu Bhaskar for his gracious presence and enlightening all of us with his inputs and his words of wisdom.
I
So
will
I would
also
request our director. Yes,
I'll
sorry,
also
sir,
like to
please.
add one more point here that, of course, my different enterprises are starting in India. And we are in March, we are
Sure.
going to launch Branch X banking, Neo Bank, and all that. So we'll see. We'll be trying to have some opportunities available. So I will definitely try to see if any one of uh, your students is also part of our system. So we'll try to give them some opportunities to everyone.
Sure, sir. With this, you have made their day actually. So this is something which these students really look at. So I'm sure they must be very happy that this has come as a topping on the cake for them towards the end of the session. So I'm sure. So students, before such opportunities come your way, you have to surely prepare for them as well, so that by the time you have such options available for you, acquire the knowledge